Hey, everybody, and welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking at a poem called, well, it's in Chinese, so bear with me. 'ⵢ不
Yeah, that's a mouthful. But the translation is much simpler. It's, what am I?
Right. What am I?
Hmm.
Catchy title, huh? And it's attributed to Budai, better known as, the Laughing Buddha.
That's right. And this poem is dated January 15th, 1989. Pretty recent for, well.
Yeah. It's pretty cool to have something, well, I guess not that recent, but, more modern than what we usually look at. Anyway.
Right.
So this poem is all about greed, like really dives into the idea of what it means to have a greedy mind.
It's pretty blunt, too. It doesn't sugarcoat anything.
Yeah, it kind of jumps right in with this self-critique. Like the first line is, "What good thing am I? Full of greed, anger, delusion, and obsession."
Oh, right. Heavy stuff.
Right? Have you ever felt that way? Like that's your mind, just completely overwhelmed by everything you want, everything you're worried about.
Oh, absolutely. I think we all struggle with that feeling of wanting more, always wanting more. It's pretty universal. Buddhism even has a term for it. They call them the three poisons:
The three poisons.
greed, anger, and delusion. They're seen as the root of all suffering, constantly pushing us to chase after things we don't have and cling to the things we do.
So, like those desires we're talking about, the poem goes on to describe them.
Right.
It talks about striving for a comfortable life, trying to be better than others, and fulfilling every single desire. It paints a pretty vivid picture.
It does, and it makes you think, how much of our lives are spent chasing after those things? Are we actually getting anywhere?
It's like being on a treadmill,
Yeah.
You're running and running, but not really going anywhere.
Exactly, and the poem points out the irony of it all. We put all this effort into achieving these things, but in the end, what do they really amount to? What's it all for?
And not just that, but all that striving, it creates bad karma. Right.
Right. The speaker says, I used all my strength to create more bad karma. And karma is, it's basically the idea that our actions have consequences.
Right. So if you're acting out of greed or anger, it's going to come back to bite you, so to speak.
Exactly. And those negative actions, those can create suffering, not just for ourselves, but for others too. It's like a ripple effect.
So it's not just about what you get, but about what you leave behind, too.
Right.
And speaking of leaving things behind, the poem doesn't shy away from death either. Like, it takes us right to that moment.
It does. It's pretty powerful.
It says, when my fate ends and my body dies, the things I gained disappear with the wind. My body turns to mud, but the sins I created follow me.
It's a sobering thought for sure. All the things we spend our lives chasing after wealth, possessions, status, it all vanishes in an instant.
Oof.
Gone.
Gone.
But the impact of our actions, the weight of our choices, that stays with us.
So it's not really about what you have when you die, but what you did when you were alive.
Yeah, it makes you think about what really matters, doesn't it? If all the material stuff fades away, what's left? What are we really investing in?
It's pretty deep. But, the poem doesn't end there. Even though it's been pretty bleak so far, there's a little bit of hope towards the end.
Oh, I see that. It's subtle, but it's there.
Yeah, it's like this moment of realization. The speaker says, only then do I understand the mistakes I made when I was alive. I am a bad thing.
Yeah. It's not about condemning themselves, though. It's more about recognizing those harmful patterns, those habits of greed, anger, and delusion.
And realizing you can change them.
Exactly. It's never too late to wake up and choose a different path. It's like this awakening, a chance to make things right.
And I think that's a really powerful message, Even though the poem focuses on greed, it's not saying we have to give up everything and live like, monks.
No, it's more about awareness. It's about being mindful of our thoughts and actions, recognizing when greed is driving us, and making conscious choices that lead to more positive outcomes.
Right. It's like, yeah, we all want things, and that's okay. But what are those desires doing to us? What kind of person are they making us?
Exactly. And what impact are those desires having on the world around us?
So it's really about finding that balance, right? Like enjoying the good things in life without letting greed take over.
Exactly. It's about cultivating qualities like generosity, kindness, and understanding. It's about focusing on things that have real, lasting value.
I love how honest this poem is, like it doesn't shy away from these difficult topics. It just lays it all out there, and it's something we can all relate to.
I agree. It's raw and it's real. And I think that's why it resonates so strongly, even centuries later. It's a timeless message about the human condition.
Well said. This deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about.
Me too. It's a good reminder to check in with ourselves, to examine our own motivations and make sure we're on the right track.
Absolutely. And hopefully it's done the same for all of you listening. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.